My name's David Purvin, and I investigated murders for more than 26 years. This is Gurmail Singh. He's 63 years of age, very jolly man, and he helped everyone that came in contact with him. On Saturday evening, he was bludgeoned to death. The offenders used extreme violence. I need to know who they are, and I need to get onto them and arrest them as quickly as possible. In my efforts to identify these offenders, I am going to leave absolutely no stone unturned. I'm doing this for the family of Gurmail Singh.
With a team of around 60 detectives, the incident room is open.
The attack took place at Mr. Singh's corner
He
shop.
was battered around the head with a hammer.
Clearly a robbery gone wrong.
Witnesses made a frantic 999 call.
Please, yeah, we need an ambulance desperately.
This close-knit community is in complete shock.
When a murder happens, recovering evidence and tracing witnesses quickly is critical.
We was in the pub having a few drinks, and from time to time we'd go out and have a cigarette. The shop door opened. I heard the bell tinkle. Now, in this area, it's quite unusual to see youths with their hoods pulled up, and I shouted to them, I said, "What are you doing?" And they started running. So that immediately set alarm bells in my head that something was wrong.
2 men have fled, but there are still 2 in the shop.
So I went to the door, and I could see 2 people behind the counter, and all I could see was they were doing kind of that. So I'm assuming they were pulling cigarettes out or whatever. So I grabbed hold of the door, pulled the door shut, and I turned around, and I shouted, "Phone the police, they're still here."
How to its convenience store. Nothing like robbing them.
David holds the door shut with all his strength to trap the 2 offenders in the shop until police arrive.
By this time, I turned back, and one of them was there at the door, and he was screaming and shouting. Anyway, I had hold the door really tight, and I would not let it go.
We locked him in the shop.
Next minute, he reached into his lapel like that, and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, what's he got?" I thought it was a gun. Turned away, and I heard the window go. Myself, I thought, have I been shot? I kind of looked. I was in disbelief, you know. Then I seen his hand come down again. And he had a lump hammer, a short-nosed, stooped lump hammer.
The offender tries to smash the window to escape, but turns for the back door instead. It's unlocked.
Next minute, I heard, they're out, they're running.
Get out! Get out! We're running down the road now!
I went into the shop. And Mr. Singh was like laid on his back. And as I looked behind him, I could see a puddle of blood. After that, it just pandemonium.
We need an ambulance desperately. He's really hurting. It's an old man.
One of the first people on the scene is the shopkeeper's own son.
There was a few people around the door. I went in, saw him on the floor, and I knew it was serious straight away. Just by the condition that he was in, I knew it was very, very serious. I remember cradling his face and his head and talking to him while he was on the floor and just saying, I'm here. But he wasn't communicating. and then just waiting. Waiting for the ambulance to turn up. But they couldn't stem the blood flow.
This time now is very important. You need to get all the evidence that you can get right at the outset, because tomorrow that evidence may be gone. We need to identify and arrest the murderers. Not going to stop until you've done it.
Detectives rush to the crime scene, including Deputy SIO Jonathan Hoyle.
It's what they call the golden hour. We secure and preserve whatever we can evidentially. Otherwise, it may be lost forever. The premises were ransacked, shelves overturned, glass everywhere. There's a lot of blood inside the premises, splatterings up against the wall where Mr. Singh had been attacked. This was an extreme case of a robbery gone wrong. It was chaos.
In the early hours, Gurmail Singh loses his fight for life. The incident room is now hunting men with the motive to murder. Detective Superintendent David Pervin gives the team his initial assessment.
4 men who'd gone into the store and attacked Gurmail. Our suspects run from the shop down the road. Back in the store, there's blood pooling near to the counter where Gurmail Singh would normally stand, and there's blood pooling further to the back of the store. The hard work starts now.
With brutal murderers on the loose, the team urgently needs to turn up evidence.
I don't want these guys on the street any longer than is necessary. They create a danger. We need to absolutely nail them.
Police are searching for the killers of a 63-year-old shopkeeper bludgeoned to death in a botched robbery. They are on the hunt for 4 men they believe to be extremely dangerous.
In Huddersfield, shopkeeper Gurmail Singh has been murdered in a brutal attack. The murder inquiry team is under pressure to identify the 4 men who fled the scene.
We have about 60 specialised homicide detectives on the case. They're leaving no stone unturned in an effort to identify who these 4 offenders are.
Ground zero for the investigation is the crime scene. The hunt for evidence begins here and spreads out to the surrounding streets and fields. Witnesses helped the team to plot the route taken by some of the suspects as they fled the scene. Detective Constable John Lee is one of the officers scouring the area for any evidence.
I knew that area really well because I brought up there as a kid. So it made sense for me to be on that job because I knew all the local areas. The witnesses seen him run down the back of the bowling club. I think there was quite a big field at the back. We walked down this field and we found this jacket.
It contained cigarettes and sweets from Mr. Singh's shop. We can link that to the shop, and if we can link it to one of the individuals, well then, we're in business.
The shop where Gurmail met his death had been the centre of his and his family's life for the past 5 years.
A lot of these, it's the first time I've seen these, so yeah.
Most of the pictures he's smiling in.
Yeah. Yep. I have to nick some of these from you, innit?
It was a community shop. People would pop in. Sometimes if he was busy stacking the shelves, etc., they'd just leave the money on the counter. So in terms of cameras, we never needed them.
They had any problems, and just in this week, he has 2 robberies.
I think he was more upset about being pushed than something being stolen. But it was that sense of right and wrong. Why are you stealing for?
The shop was a soft target.
How can this be that he's robbed twice in 2 days? How can they not be connected? I must identify, locate and arrest those 2 from Thursday night.
He was known as a real community figure, someone who would deliver in a sledge in the snow to keep customers happy.
The murder has horrified the general public.
Many neighbours tried to stop the attackers on the night, but they couldn't prevent them getting away. The attackers are now being sought in connection with Mr. Singh's murder.
And the intense media coverage surrounding the case gives Detective Superintendent Pervin an opportunity.
I need to make an appeal urgently. I need to ask the community of Huddersfield to help this investigation.
When something like this happens, the people watching it on our programmes tend to want to help. So if there's something out, like an appeal for whoever did this to somebody, as happened to Gurmail Singh, they want to do their very best to find who did it.
David can't know for sure the 2 robberies aren't connected, but he knows he wants to speak to the 2 men who robbed the store earlier that week. Publicly saying they are implicated in a murder investigation might flush them out.
In the appeal, I'm going to say that I believe the robbery incident on Thursday is connected with the murder. Anyone who has any information or suspicions that will assist the investigation should continue to contact the police and share that information. They know who they are. The spotlight is already directly upon them, and I call on them to do the right thing and hand themselves in before we knock at your door and arrest you. Those involved in the robbery on Thursday, you can imagine what they were thinking. They've been involved in a robbery, and now the SIO is saying, I believe you're involved in a murder. And they turn themselves in.
They fully admit they robbed the shop 2 nights before, but provide a solid alibi. They were nowhere near Cowcliff the night Gurmail Singh was murdered.
Without doubt, the two committing the robbery on Thursday are alibied for the fact that they could not have committed the murder. What I can do now is concentrate on the 4 offenders that the witnesses did see on Saturday night.
The search goes on for the hard evidence that will bring convictions.
I want to find something that will tie those offenders in forensically. Something that will put them in that store when Gurmail Singh was murdered.
There is no obvious sign of a murder weapon at the scene. One suspect had a hammer, but there's no clear evidence it was used in the attack.
We don't at this stage have any DNA. We don't have any fibre. We don't have any fingerprints or footprints. But what we do have are lots and lots of glass fragments.
The detectives believe they do have a motive. A robbery gone terribly wrong. The offenders have grappled violently with Gurmail Singh, smashing bottles and overturning shelves.
The forensic pathologist tells me that Gurmail Singh has been struck at least 6 times to the back of the head, possibly 7 or as many as 9.
Witnesses had seen suspects holding a hammer, but the coroner's report suggests that the murder weapon could in fact be lying in pieces on the shop floor.
The offenders have taken bottles off the shelves and they've battered Gurmail Singh with them. What he's certain of is that there is no indication in the skull injuries that an injury has been caused by a hammer.
With the hammer ruled out, the glass could be the missing piece of the jigsaw. The murder weapon was in fact one of Gurmail Singh's own wine bottles. In the forensic lab, scientists can identify the exact bottle the shards came from. Fragments of it could prove vital in catching the killers.
We're getting closer. But we know the level of violence that these used on Gurmail. They're on the loose. They could do this again. Men who attack in this way will present fear to the whole community.
The police have to bring them in before 4 desperate men harm someone else or go on the run.
Police are looking for 4 men they believe are connected to the murder of shopkeeper Gurmail Singh in the Cowcliff area of Huddersfield.
Detective Superintendent David Pervin and his team are investigating the cold-blooded murder of shopkeeper Gurmail Singh, a beloved member of the community.
This particular murder was an absolutely ferocious and senseless killing.
The killer's transport could provide the clue the team are looking for. Officers scour the area, but turn up empty-handed. It's imperative Detective Superintendent Pervin knows how these men travelled to and from the crime scene.
The use of taxis by criminals is quite widespread.
The team investigate the many taxi companies that serve the Huddersfield area and examine the fares taken the night Gurmail was murdered.
One particular taxi firm was Fartown Taxis. One of the drivers remembered taking 4 young lads up to Cowcliff Stores on Saturday evening around 8:20, 8:25 p.m. The perfect time for the 4 offenders that murdered Gurmail.
Alongside the huge public appeal, police are leaving no stone unturned in trying to identify the suspects. And the detectives know there is one usually silent group that will have information: the criminal underworld.
A useful tool often deployed in murder investigations is the use of chisers, or in common parlance, snouts.
CHISs, or covert human intelligence sources, are criminal informants. They have a unique insight into local illegal activity and will offer to help police in exchange for cash or to undermine a rival. Payments vary from a few pounds for basic information up to several thousand for helping break up organised crime.
You always have to be extremely careful when you're dealing with CHIS information. One, about the identity of the informer, but 2, about the information that they're giving. It may not be reliable.
Intelligence officers from the incident room reach out to their contacts, saying they need names fast. Detective Superintendent Pervin has to tread carefully to avoid putting the informants in danger.
Any information that's received via that route has to go into the intelligence cell, which is kept separate and locked away from the main incident room to protect the identity of the individual and the information that's been provided.
And one criminal informant offers up a revelatory piece of information.
They said, you need to be looking at this group of people. We think they may have committed the murder.
We got a number of nicknames for the suspects. One was nicknamed Crazy.
The intelligence cell come up with a name, the first name that we've got for a potential suspect. His name is Aslam.
Umar Aslam has no previous convictions and is not known as a sophisticated criminal. But informants soon reveal he is friends with people with a more checkered history.
And we come up with Nabil Shafi, Muaz Khalid, Rayman Afzal.
All of the other members of Aslam's circle are known to the police for theft and violence.
Are these our 4? Are these our 4 murderers?
But Detective Superintendent Pervin knows if he brings them in, he has to have enough evidence to make sure they aren't simply put back on the streets.
We have names, and we have their addresses. But we've only got 24 hours. 24 hours in which, if arrested, they have to be charged or released without charge. I've got limited forensic. I need more evidence. I need more time.
But time is not on his side. The intelligence cell comes forward again with information from another informant.
The information is that 2 of this group are going to fly to Pakistan. We have a no agreement with the Pakistan authorities to return offenders to the UK. If they're gone, it could be years before we bring them back to face justice.
SIO David Pervin is waiting for results from the forensics lab. But the intelligence that 2 of the gang are planning to flee forces his hand.
We need to make sure, as best we can, that when we kick a door in, those suspects are going to be behind that door. We have to coordinate and get all of these suspects at the same time.
DC John Lee is a Tier 5 interviewer. That means he's qualified not just to interview the most serious criminals, but also to take control when multiple suspects are going to be interrogated.
Interview is all about preparation and planning. As a Tier 5 interview advisor, you're gathering all the information together and you're keeping everybody in the picture, especially when you've only got 24 hours initial to interview.
John can't risk anything going wrong. He sends the suspects to separate police stations across Yorkshire to be interviewed.
You try to move them in different locations, different police stations, so that there's no chance of any information being leaked between each other, because people do shout down the cell corridor to each other and things like that.
With the suspects in the cells all being interrogated, they can't disappear to Pakistan. But they are saying nothing. David sends specialist search teams to each of their homes.
We need to find evidence within each address that will connect each offender with the murder of Gurmail Singh. I'm particularly looking around fragments of glass that may have been on their clothing when they committed the murder, or has been deposited in their own bedrooms. We ripped up the carpets, we took all of their bedding, and we took all of their clothing.
The clock is running down. Who will crack first? With only a few hours left in custody, the suspects start to talk.
Each one of them was admitting going to the store. Each one of them starts to blame the other. But none of them are admitting bludgeoning Gurmail Singh.
It's always good when they are talking. If they're talking and blaming other people, it's even better.
Admitting being part of the gang at the scene of the murder is enough for them to be charged with robbery and remanded in custody. But more will be needed if they are to be convicted of Gurmail's murder. While the police search for evidence, Gurmail is laid to rest in a traditional Sikh funeral. The number of people attending shows how much the vicious attack has affected the local community.
The day was just an outpouring. There were thousands here. A lot of them probably didn't even know my father, but because of what they'd read and what they've heard, I think they just felt obliged to come here and pay their respects. So it was humbling. People even outside that couldn't even get in. It was that busy. Not just the Sikh community, but from across the board. There were Muslims here, there were Christians here. Every different race and religion were here just to pay respect to a good man.
A trial is set for the men to face the robbery charge in September 2010. But the Crown Prosecution Service is worried there is still insufficient proof that they carried out the murder. The suspects are remanded in custody. David now has 6 months to look for the evidence that will convict them of the murder of Gurmail Singh.
In these investigations, I'm looking for motive. I know that's robbery. I'm looking for opportunity. Can they commit the offence?
David needs to place them at the scene of the crime. Officers set to work trawling thousands of hours of CCTV footage.
Counter-terrorism CCTV recovered camera footage, stills, videos from in and around Huddersfield. The CCTV footage showed us the offenders met together in Huddersfield town centre in the hours before the murder of Gurmail Singh, giving them the opportunity to travel to the store and commit the murder.
The CCTV also turns up a huge piece of evidence that might tell him who actually committed the murder.
We recovered this jacket in the field below the store. When we review the CCTV from Huddersfield, one of our offenders is wearing that exact jacket.
The jacket was dropped by one of the men trapped in the store by eyewitness David Singh. Its owner was one of the two who spent longest at the crime scene, trying to smash their way out. David Pervin has the murderers in his sights. It's crucial he now finds the final evidence to prove it beyond all doubt. CCTV might be that killer evidence.
Detectives have arrested the individuals they suspect are responsible for the murder of Gurmail Singh, a 63-year-old shopkeeper killed by repeated blows to the head during a botched robbery.
The incident room at Huddersfield Police Station is investigating a robbery that turned to murder. Detective Superintendent David Pervin has 4 suspects in custody. They all deny killing Gurmail. David needs to put together the pieces to make sure a jury puts them behind bars for good. The tireless CCTV trawl by counter-terrorism officers comes up trumps.
A female came forward who was in Malachi's restaurant in the town centre, who informed us that she'd overheard a conversation between 2 young men, which suggested to her that they'd been involved in the incident.
That witness has overheard them talking about beating up a man earlier in the evening. I believe they're talking about murdering Gurmail Singh.
From that restaurant, we would try and track those people. They were seen to visit the Odeon Cinema. entering Tesco supermarket, going to the toilets to swap clothing.
They swapped and changed clothing. They're trying to fool us. They're changing clothing, they're changing appearance. It's more damning evidence. We now have clear movements and association between the group, both prior to the murder and subsequent to the murder.
It corroborated the intelligence that the individuals were likely to be responsible.
SIO David Pervin now has hard evidence that could convict his suspects.
Opportunity, yes, they're in the vicinity. Preparatory steps. They get the taxi to the store.
How to its convenience store.
Motive, robbery.
We're boxed in the shop.
And subsequent actions.
They're smashing everything up now.
They run away from the store, having committed a murder. They meet up together in Huddersfield. They're swapping clothing. They're trying to clear their tracks.
David now knows the exact movements of the four men and has images that implicate them in murder, but he's still not sure of a conviction. In September 2010, 6 months after Gurmail Singh was murdered, 20-year-old business student Mawaz Khalid, 18-year-old Nabil Shafi, A-level student Rayman Afzal, also 18, and 20-year-old crazy Umar Aslam finally stand trial at Bradford Crown Court. They all deny murder. It's a painful process for David Singh, still affected by witnessing the murder of a respected community figure.
I was classed as a chief witness. They had their own barristers, and each barrister quizzed me to be questioned by somebody. And for the first time to ever be in a Crown Court was tough. You know, they can ask you as many questions, they can dress them up any way they want. The answer's still going to be the same, which is the truth.
With no CCTV in the shop, the prosecution cannot definitely prove who it was that wielded the lethal blows. Forensics cannot provide any smoking gun evidence.
There were still some questions unanswered for the family. They wanted to know specifically who caused Gurmail's death. What part each took in that murder, how many blows, how many strikes on Gurmail. Those answers were never given in court.
Rayman Afzal and crazy Umar Aslam, the two men who had left the shop first, were convicted of robbery but cleared of killing Gurmail Singh. Afzal is sentenced to 5 years and 4 months, while Aslam receives 6.5 years. The jury ruled that Mawaz Khalid and Nabil Shafi, who were locked in the store by David Singh, were guilty of murder. Khalid has to spend at least 21 years in prison. Shafi receives a 20-year minimum sentence.
It was joint enterprise by the group, and certainly the two who were trapped in the store, the jury, the judge were happy that they subsequently committed the murder.
If they'd have served their full sentence, as they still are now, they will still be 40 years of age or thereabouts when they come out. Mr. Singh will still be dead. So, is there a justice there? It's for the individual to make her mind up into it.
For Gurmail's family, they're left to reflect on how their father was murdered in the corner shop he loved.
My dad liked to come up to Castle Hill, normally with family, with friends. Probably have a pint at the pub at the same time. You don't come to terms with it. You just do the best you can. Supporting each other as a family, supporting who you can. When days are difficult, they're more difficult. And then days, when we've got days of joy or celebration, they're not as joyous. Within Sikhism, there's a word called seva, which is to serve and to help. And I think that was very much part of him and his well-being.
They got the equivalent of £70. £70 for the man's life.
I was satisfied that we identified and arrested and gained convictions. I don't think you're ever satisfied, no matter how long a sentence is given, that is appropriate for causing the death of a person in this way.